Hey, good day, folks. Welcome to Answers Life. I hope everyone's doing great today. Yes, you read the title right. It says exactly what it says. And no, this is not a self hate video because I very much love myself. But I got a real question for you guys. How many of you guys are willing to give up your race? I mean, how, if you want to answer that in the comments, you can go right ahead. But even if you don't, just think about that question. How many of you guys, regardless of your race, are willing to give up your race? You see, let me explain myself here. I gotta say, I've been thinking about this super hard the last month and a half or so. Because, you see, there may have been a time in this country to where, depending on a person's race, depending on a person's ethnicity, you'll either survive or you won't survive. You'll either do good out here and be wealthy, or be what people would call middle class, or you'll be in poverty. And even during those days, you still had people that looked like me that did wonderful things. They did what most people would consider unimaginable at that time, and they made it on the right side of the financial spectrum. But we live in an age now to where it doesn't really make much difference, if any difference at all, on what your race is, on what your ethnicity is when it comes to survival. And for those of you that say, yeah, it does make a difference, I would say the difference that it would make is minimal at best. Because, see, as I travel the country, whenever I get a chance to travel, I, I run into people that are homeless of all ethnicities, of all races. I run into people both in real life, and also I see a lot of people online that are forced to live in their vehicle because rent prices for them have gotten too expensive. And there's people out here of all races, of all ethnicities, that would love to become a homeowner, but they can't because housing prices have gotten too expensive, the interest rates are too high. And and for those of you that have been watching social media like YouTube, TikTok, there's been people of all races and ethnicities that have currently lost their job or they're getting ready to lose their job. And many of these people are complaining about how difficult it is to find another job. A lot of these people are also complaining about the fact that as they're looking for another job, the money that they may have had saved up, their savings is being deleted as a result. And honestly, the majority of us here in the United States are only a paycheck or two away from being completely broke, from being completely assed out. And again, what I just said applies for people of all ethnicities and races. It doesn't make a difference. And most of us, regardless of your race, regardless of your ethnicity, are also one major health condition away from losing it all potentially. I mean, you see, as a society, we have gotten so used to utilizing all these different symbols. And all these different symbols, your race, your ethnicity, white, black, Hispanic, FBA for the black community, and all these different symbols that we use to self-identify. These symbols are nothing more than a tactic that the power structure at B has brainwashed us everyday people to use. It's nothing more than a divide and conquer tactic. Because if we're busy dividing ourselves based on race, dividing ourselves based on ethnicity, dividing ourselves based on whether or rather not we're natural born Americans or you're from some other country that moved to America, if we're busy worrying about who's legal, who's illegal, and if we're busy dividing ourselves based on religion, now of course the religion of the United States is Christianity, but even within Christianity, you have Lutheran, you got Catholic, you got Protestant, and there's a couple of others that I can't think of right now. And of course, there's many other ways out here that we use to divide ourselves, whether it be intentional or unintentional. I think some of it is subconscious, to be honest. You see, we're so busy dividing ourselves in all these different categories that the power structure that be, they're sitting back and laughing at us. They're sitting back and they're making whatever plans that they feel they need to make to control us as much as they can. You see, we're so busy dividing ourselves. Well, like right now, many people are still divided based on politics. Like, all the federal workers that are losing their jobs. Many of them are mad at those of us who may have voted for Donald Trump. And even if, now I don't mean to get political here, but I'm just using this as an example of how we divide ourselves. Now, back when it was Biden and Harris, you had a lot of people that were mad at them because of how things were when they were in the White House. So we're so busy, also being divided on politics that I don't think any of us are seeing the bigger picture of what's truly going on in this country. Because the fact of the matter is, as long as they can keep us divided, then the power structure that be will always be able to conquer and achieve what they want to achieve, which is the control of all the nation's resources. Now, as a everyday working class American, I realize the amount of power that us people have. The problem is, and I'm pretty sure some of you that are watching my video realize the amount of power that we have. The problem is, there's not enough of us that realize the amount of power that we have if we were to get together and we were to send a strong message to the power structure at B that the shenanigans that they're pulling is not going to be tolerated. We're not dumb. We know what's going on. Well, some of you don't know what's going on. But for those of us who know what's going on, or at least have an idea what's going on, we need to send a strong message. We need to get together as American people. Again, I don't care about your race. I don't care about your ethnicity. I don't care about the fact that you're a native of the United States or you came to the United States from another country. I don't care. I don't care about your religious beliefs. We just need to get together as a people and send a strong message to the power structure that be. And when I say the power structure that be, I don't care if it's Democrat. I don't care if it's Republican. And I'm not even talk. I'm talking about. I'm not only talking about the federal government. I'm talking about the federal government. I'm talking about the state, and I'm also talking about the local, the county, city, all that. And I don't care what ethnicity or what sex or what race the politician is. None of that matters to me. I mean, to me, all that are non-factors, and that's how it should be to you guys. You should look at those things as non-factors. And honestly, the fact that we do divide ourselves into all these different categories is the reason why many of us are not living life to the fullest. We're miserable because one of the reasons why I think many of us are miserable and many people are going through depression. And again, this is not medical advice. This is just my opinion. But I believe the reason why many of us are miserable and we go through different stages of depression at some point in our lives is one of the reasons is because we divide ourselves into all these different categories that I just mentioned at the beginning of the video. Just imagine how better the world would be. But I'm not going to talk about the world. I live in the United States, so this video is going to primarily be about the United States. But what I say about the United States most likely will apply to any first world country. So with all that being said, just imagine how better the United States would be if we all decided to wake up one day and to get rid of our race. Like, I no longer identify as black. People that are white no longer identify as white. Hispanics no longer identify as Hispanics. And regardless of what your religious beliefs might be, let's put all that to the side as well. Regardless of your ethnicity, again, let's put all that to the side. Just imagine how life would be here in the United States if we simply looked at each other and we genuinely judged each other by our deeds, by our morals or lack thereof, by our character. Race, religion, ethnicity, all those different categories are non-factors. They're non-factors. Nobody cares anymore. So if you were to judge a person by raw quality characteristics, like I described a second ago, just think about that for a minute. And even when it came to looking for a job, just imagine how different just imagine how different the workforce would be if whenever you submitted an application or a resume, they did not ask you any self-identifying questions like, what's your race? What's your ethnicity? What's your sex? They didn't ask you none of that stuff. All they asked you for was your general information, like your name, your phone number, your work experience, just basic stuff like that. just imagine that when it came to dating, anything that deals with race or ethnicity or non-factors, you were strictly judged by raw characteristics like your character, your morals, or lack thereof in some cases, your deeds. Just raw characteristics. I mean, this is going to sound a little ridiculous, but I'm going to say it anyway. But just imagine if every last one of us in the United States, if not throughout the entire world, every last one of us all had the same skin color. We all had the same hair texture. We all had the same color eyeballs. And I guess if I want to get ridiculous, all of us are of the same height. The only thing that's different from one person to another is their sex. Other than that, everything else is the same. Now, I'm gonna put you guys up to a challenge. And this challenge, I'm gonna participate in this challenge too. And the challenge is when we approach another person, whether they're doing something positive or negative, or maybe they're not doing nothing at all, they're just minding their own business. The challenge is I want you to look at that person and act like that person looks exactly like yourself. And with that in mind, I want you to judge that person. Like, look at that person's actions. Look at that person's behavior. How would you judge that person? I mean, how would you judge that person? Now, let's say this person robbed a bank. Would it make a difference whether the person who robbed the bank was white or black? Now, sadly, in this society, there's people that may not admit to it, but in their eyes, it would. Because you got people out here that assume if someone black robs a bank, they're more of a thug than someone white here robs a bank. Now, let's go on the other side of the spectrum. Let's take two individuals, one black, one white. Both of them are super educated. They're super educated. Let's say both of them are doctors. Now, we live in a society to where a lot of people would not trust a black doctor. They would trust a white doctor over a black doctor, despite the fact that the black doctor might have the exact same level of education and credentials as a white doctor. I mean, unfortunately, that is the society that we live in. And to me, that is one of the big reasons why many people, regardless of your race, walk around with different levels of depression. That example I just gave is one of the big reasons why this country is in the condition that it's in rather than the condition that it should be in. So that's all I got for this one. So until next time, stay blessed. Think about what I just said. Hopefully this video hit home for some of you. And I'll catch you on the next one.